Does Arizona Cardinals second-round pick Will Johnson already have a strong grasp on an outside corner spot? Starting for this Arizona Cardinals team, Bo Brack, Johnny Venerable, PHNX Cardinals. Make sure to subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Like this video. And Johnny, so many position battles that we were looking forward to before Cardinals training camp. But I think one of the most key was one that was going to feature Will Johnson, Starling Thomas V, and Max Melton. Now, due to an unfortunate injury, feels like it's Will Johnson and Max Melton's positions to lose.
Yeah, I feel like specifically with Will Johnson, like, are we going to see a rookie season on par with some of the greats that the cornerback position has yielded in the NFL last couple of years? Like, I'm looking at 2022, Sauce Gardner came into the NFL and took the league by storm. Like, I think that's asking a lot. Like, Sauce Gardner in 2022 had a 90 coverage grade. He was one of the best corners in the NFL. But I think, like, maybe just a notch below that. You see him gain confidence from the time you've been out there. I was at practice a few days last week. And then now what you're seeing, battling Marvin Harrison Jr., battling, Greg Dortch, battling Zay Jones. He looks the part physically, certainly. Somebody who's got top-end speed. He's got supremely gifted hands. His athleticism is off the charts. We know all the metrics from Michigan. It really, to me, it's not going to be, if he doesn't succeed this year, it's not going to be because he didn't pick up the playbook. He's not physical or gifted enough. Unfortunately, it will be like, did something health-wise creep up? Last year, he missed some time at Michigan. Everybody knows about the knee that was flagged during the draft process, led to him falling to the Cardinals. But if you sit here and tell me Will Johnson played 16 games for the Cardinals this year, I'm going to be talking about a player that I think is on the rise as one of the best young cornerbacks in the NFL. That's the kind of physical skill set he possesses.
I don't want this to come off as polarizing. I don't want to be like a hot take central here and just spew out. But I think as far as Will Johnson, or let's just say a blue chip cornerback, is probably more well-versed to come in and find success in this organization under Jonathan Gannon than, say, a player the caliber of Marvin Harrison Jr., who would go into an offense where it's just like they have to figure out how to feed a top-tier playmaker like Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, like, we're confident they're going to figure it out and still found success in his rookie season. But I'm thinking from the jump, the way that Jonathan Gannon deploys his cornerbacks and the way that Will Johnson was deployed at Michigan, playing primarily zone, where the Cardinals live in zone for the most part, going to be familiar there. His eyes are going to be where they need to be probably most of the time. And the fact that he can take the ball away, which they really want to emphasize. I know all defense do, but Jonathan Gannon's primarily. I think Will Johnson is set up to have success, even though, he's drafted 43 spots after a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. I also say, like, it's unfortunate we're robbed of it, but I think Walter Nolan also would have had that opportunity as well, playing the defensive line for Jonathan Gannon. It's just, we'll see. He has to get healthy before we start talking about it.
It's a great point by you that I don't think gets talked about enough, is we know rookies are talented and some players overcome dysfunction. Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr., right, at receiver last year. And some players are boosted by the coaching that they have. And I think Will Johnson's going to fit that build. I mean, not to take away anything Garrett Williams has done as a professional. Do you don't think Garrett Williams was helped by having Nick Rollis and Jonathan Gannon, shepherd him as a third-round pick, tore his ACL, immediately comes in, puts it being put in a position to succeed, interception in his first game, pop year in year two. Will Johnson is a better prospect than Garrett Williams was, and is healthier than Garrett Williams was coming into the NFL. And then I look at like Max Melton last year, looked very respectable coming in off the bench as a second-round pick last year. Thrust into action. Go pull up those statistics against the Charger game on Monday Night Football. Looked very competent. And then you look all the way back to 2023, Keitrell Clark and Starling Thomas had to start as late-round picks because this team was so poverty, because the depth wasn't there from the prior regime. And I have never once, save for Sean Murphy-Bunting, who was not drafted and developed, with all due respect, not to knock an injured guy, by this regime, I have never sat on my couch watching an NFL game under this regime and said, man, we're so poorly coached in the secondary. That X player looks lost, right? Most of the time, I'm like, man, they're getting a lot out of this kid, Keitrell Clark or Starling Thomas or Garrett Williams. And now you get your first real blue chipper at that position, somebody that, again, Will Johnson was talked about before the injury, like a Patrick Surtain, like a Jair Alexander, like a Patrick Peterson. He was projected in that category of top corner. And I think the Cardinals got a gift from the football gods, health permitting, at 47.
Yeah. Big time addition there, and now necessary with the injury to Thomas. And with that, it creates a little bit of a little maybe mini position battle, because Max Melton said after the Thomas injury, they were anticipating have a 3-man rotation at that outside corner spot. I think you could see Garrett Williams continue to supplement there, but they are going to look for a third guy. You get some 3 players that could potentially step up there. You said Keitrell Clark, 3rd year, a little undersized, didn't play 100 snaps defensively last year, played a lot more his rookie season. You got Elijah Jones, who's a real wild card here, coming off a medical redshirt season, basically. And then you've got the newcomer to that group. You got 5th-round pick Denzel Burke coming off playing 50-plus games at Ohio State. How do you feel like that's going to go?
I mean, does anybody think Denzel Burke's going to look incompetent? I don't. I think he was coached well at Ohio State, and he's going to be coached up here with the Arizona Cardinals. That clip that you posted that went viral a couple of days ago, I thought his coverage, yes, he was holding, but I liked the competitiveness. He was out there competing. He's not getting burnt, consistently. And here's what I will say. Elijah Jones had an almost interception at yesterday's practice. Looked pretty good, right? Can he gain some confidence? Can he just at least be adequate in his 2nd year, and then can build some confident, games and have that snowball a little bit? And then there's Keitrell Clark, who's kind of like the last man standing from that underserved group initially. Is he going to be phased out, certainly from playing a lot, Bo, because the physical gifts, unlike his counterparts, are just not there? And I think Starling Thomas, yes, he was undrafted, but he was over 6 foot. He should have been drafted, right? That was malpractice by the rest of the NFL. If Keitrell Clark, you look around the position group and it's like Garrett Williams, best cover corner according to PFF. Max Melton, top 50 prospect. Garrett Williams, top 50 prospect. These guys that are over 6 feet, long, athletic, can run sub 4.4. He is going to have to make his way on special teams and then be ready when the time comes. And again, Cardinals aren't going to have a clean bill of health throughout the season. He will be asked to play at some point, just like in the finale last year against San Francisco. Can he make the most of it? I think it remains to be seen, though.
I think with Key, if you're looking for the guy who's the most competitive and who has the best makeup, it's Keitrell Clark. Unfortunately, he wasn't blessed with great length and size. Where I think Denzel Burke, Elijah Jones, certainly, who has to be an absolute wild card in here and have to really make up some ground here as far as this competition, because he's a guy that's seen a lot of time with the 3s early in camp and has a real long road back. But 3rd-round pick, top 100 picks, going to have every opportunity to do that. Couple other position battles to cover here, and one surprise that I think my co-host brought up on a couple shows ago, but we'll get into it. I think this was an easy conversation because what's transpired at the off-ball linebacker spot, Mack Wilson is the successor to Kazir White. He moves from Will linebacker to Mike linebacker, is going to wear the green dot, is going to be calling the defense, and that simplifies things to where it's not going to be like, hey, you got to get either Akeem Davis-Gaither or Cody Simon up to speed to call this defense.
Yeah, I mean, Mack Wilson had a tremendous first year with the Cardinals, and the Cardinals said, we want to double down on Mack Wilson. We want him on the field more. And unfortunately, Kazir White was the casualty of that in terms of being an Arizona Cardinal. 27 years old, his lower body, I mean, he looks the part. He's going to put up big numbers this year. He's maybe one of the defensive MVPs, not maybe, he is, of training camp thus far. He's everywhere. So then it becomes basically, how often do the Cardinals want to run 2 linebackers? So far, I think that remains to be seen because they're so bullish on their secondary and their defensive line. But when they run 2 linebacker sets, I think Cody Simon eventually gets tapped as the guy. Akeem Davis-Gaither, I think looks fine, right? Nothing special. I think he's a special teamer. He was a special teamer on a bad Cincinnati team. He was a backup, right? If that's all he is here and he makes plays on those units, which, by the way, the Cardinals need after losing Lucetta and Victor Dumikeji, it's like, go and excel at that. Cody Simon was drafted with a top 120 pick to come in here and eventually play alongside another linebacker like Mack Wilson Sr. So, but it isn't funny just kind of how that's shaken out.
Yeah.
It might be a moot point because they might run so much nickel. They might have so many safeties and corners because you make an argument it's the most athletic part of their defense right now.
Yeah. Owen Papo, I think, also still in that conversation because there's less of I guess the pressure to get that guy ready week 1, Mac Wilson, eases kind of the tension there. 2 more spots, right? You got the defensive line group, the unfortunate injury to Walter Nolan, how that shakes out now. You've got the 3 guys, Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson, Darius Robinson, great camp. And then you start to look towards Dante Stills, who I think has solidified himself, starting to firm up a roster spot. Maybe LJ Collier. Who else we got? You've got Elijah Simmons, the undrafted rookie free agent, who's still in the mix.
Justin
Jones is still there. And then Bilal Nichols, who remains on PUP. Seen him out just with his teammates, but nothing close to coming back from that stinger issue.
So Bilal Nichols, I think we all agree, is probably not going to make this team. If he does, it'll be maybe on injured reserve. I don't know how they're going to handle that, but it's just not going to end with him, I think, playing for the Cardinals this year. And then you look at the rest of the group. If we're led to believe that Walter Nolan's not put on injured reserve to start the year, if he gets in some practices and they just want to stash him, maybe he's inactive for the first 2 weeks, and he makes this team, clearly he's going to be on this team. How many defensive linemen can you carry? They carried 6 to begin last year. Could they carry 7? Elijah Simmons, I think right now is probably going to be a practice squad player unless he flashes in preseason and the Cardinals are like, we can't make this guy vulnerable to the practice squad. We got to keep him. LJ Collier's been running with the ones. I mean, like, again, Dante Stills looks great. I come back to, like, we got to see something from Justin Jones here the next month or so. I think Justin Jones in the preseason, let's see what you can do. Can you disrupt a little bit in Kansas City, Denver, right? That, to me, it's like, I don't care what you're being paid. I don't care when we paid you. We're trying to put together the best 53-man roster to make the postseason, to win the NFC West. We're not going off of what your salary was last year when the team was winning a completely different spot than they are now.
Yeah. I get a lot of Zaven Collins from Dante Stills, not, as far as the play, the position, but just as far as the willingness to do whatever. He's got leadership qualities. I think that it'd be tough to discount enough to try to do any kind of, roster gymnastics with Stills. I think he's a Cardinal, stays a Cardinal, the team that drafted him in 2023 in the 6th round out of West Virginia. One little surprise here, I don't know if you're prepared for it, but wide receiver 3 position. You got Marv, unbelievable camp, highlight reel catch after highlight reel catch, right? You got Michael Wilson, solid Z receiver, and then we just assumed they were going to run it back. Greg Dortch, slot. Zay Jones has looked good. Xavier Weaver has looked good. Your sense on the wide receiver 3, who has the edge?
I think they're only keeping 5 receivers. I think those are the 5 because they love tight ends and they're going to keep as many tight ends as they can. Drew Pedson's a kid in the candy store with that position. I don't think there's going to be a traditional 3 receiver. Like if you play fantasy football, like who's the Cardinals 3 receiver?
Yeah.
Like really, it's probably Michael Wilson because it's Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr. So I'm not going to say it's an irrelevant question. I have seen Zay Jones get more opportunities. I think Greg Dortch, to me, for whatever reason, does not get a ton of looks early in the year. And then he comes out of nowhere at the end of the year. And it's like, why aren't we giving Greg Dortch any targets? I think Greg Dortch is going to be the return man and he's going to have some special packages. And then if you have to go a 4 receiver set, he's in there. I think Zay Jones is their traditional number 3 receiver. I think it allows them to move Marv underneath, Michael underneath. Zay Jones is a stereotypical outside wide receiver. And I think he had a good camp. I know he had a good camp last year. We watched it with our eyes, and then he was suspended. So I've seen Kyler Murray have good rapport with him. He's about to be 30 years old. And again, it wasn't worth the draft pick out of East Carolina that was made originally, but is somebody that I think they think he can help this team. But after you go from Marv and Michael and Trey, everything just gets muddled because, Higgy Bear's in there. Tip Ryman's playing a lot, but he's not getting the ball thrown to him. They like to throw to the running backs, James Conner, Trey Benson, DeMercado. It's just, there are going to be games where just like a 3rd receiver does not catch a ball for this team.
Right. You'll be lucky. You got to take advantage of your opportunities with the 2 targets you're going to get.
Yeah.
Make a play to potentially carve out a role for yourself in this offseason because for the most part, they're all spoken for. And in the offensive ecosystem that exists of establishing the run and James Conner and Kyler Murray quarterback, and then the passing attack with Trey and Marv, that's enough for them to win football games and win consistently and handily. Unbelievable conversation. What do you think? What are your top position battles? How many picks do you think Will Johnson's going to get year one? But also, who has the edge as far as these position battles at Cardinals training camp? Our coverage is always continuing. PHNX Cardinals live show on Thursday at 4:30 and every day, Monday through Friday. Don't miss it. Subscribe to this channel and like this video.